They say the internet never forgets. But today, history is not just remembering. It is rewriting itself right before our very eyes. You clicked on this video because you saw the headline, and maybe you thought it was a joke. Maybe you thought it was another rumor from the rumor mill. But I am here to tell you that the impossible has happened. The man who stood as the face of the government's legal battle against Nnamdi Kanu, the man who announced the extradition, the man who was the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, is tonight sleeping in a DSS cell, not as a minister, but as a suspect accused of the very thing he spent years prosecuting others for. This is not a drill. This is the new reality in Abuja as of today, Wednesday, February 4, 2026. We are breaking this down because the tables have turned so dramatically that legal experts are scrambling to understand what this means for the entire country. Yesterday, Tuesday, February 3, the Federal High Court in Abuja witnessed a scene that will be talked about for generations. Abubakar Malami, the immediate past Attorney General, stood in the dock. He wasn't there to argue a case for the government. He was there as defendant number one. And standing right next to him was his own son, Abdulaziz Malami. The charges? Terrorism financing and illegal possession of firearms. Now, let's get straight to the good news part for Nnamdi Kanu supporters, because the irony here is thick enough to cut with a knife. For years, IPOB members and Kanu's legal team have shouted that the real sponsors of terrorism were being shielded by the government. They argued that Nnamdi Kanu was being persecuted while the real criminals walked free. Well, count one of the charge sheet read out yesterday seems to agree with them. The Department of State Services, the DSS, has accused Malami of knowingly abetting terrorism financing. And how did he do it? The charge says he allegedly refused to prosecute known terrorism financiers whose case files were sent to his office when he was the AGF. Just pause and let that sink in. The chief law officer of the country, the man who signed off on the prosecution of thousands, is now accused of sitting on the files of the real money men behind the insecurity in Nigeria. If the court finds this to be true, it validates everything Nnamdi Kanu has been saying from his cell in the DSS headquarters. It paints a picture that the prosecution of agitators was a smokescreen, while the real fire was being fed from the top. This is why the social media space in the southeast is erupting with calls for Kanu's release. The logic is simple. If the prosecutor is a criminal, what happens to the case he built? But the drama in court yesterday was intense. Malami and his son pleaded not guilty to all 5 counts. Their lawyer, S.A. Aloa, a senior advocate of Nigeria, tried to get them out immediately. He made an oral application for bail, telling the judge, "My lords, they have been in DSS custody for 2 weeks already. Please let them go home." But the presiding judge, Justice Joyce Abdulmalik, was having none of it. She looked at the gravity of the charges, terrorism and firearms, and ruled that the Federal High Court is a court of record. You don't just ask for bail with your mouth. You file the papers properly. She struck down the oral application and ordered that Malami and his son be remanded in DSS custody until the next hearing. You literally cannot make this script up. I want to ask you a question because this affects every single Nigerian. Do you think this arrest is a genuine fight against corruption and terrorism, or is this just a political witch hunt against the old administration? And more importantly, if Malami is found guilty of hiding terror financiers, should Nnamdi Kanu be released immediately and compensated? I want to read your honest thoughts in the comments below. And please, if you are enjoying this unfiltered breakdown of the news, do me a massive favor and click that like button right now. It helps the algorithm show this video to more people who need to know the truth. And if you are not subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next update on this developing saga. Welcome back. Let's talk about the gun. It wasn't just about files and paperwork. The DSS raided Malami's residence in the Gese Phase 2 area of Birnin Kebbi, Kebbi State, back in December 2025. And what they found there has added a dangerous twist to this case. Count 2 to 5 of the charge sheet accuse Malami and his son of illegal possession of a Sturm Magnum 170101 firearm. They also allegedly found 16 rounds of live ammunition and 27 expended cartridges. Now, Why does a former Attorney General need an unlicensed Magnum revolver and live ammunition in his house? And why were there 27 expended cartridges? Expended means they were fired. Who was firing guns in the Malami residence, and at what? These are the questions the DSS prosecutor, Dr. C.S. Eze, will be asking when the trial properly commences. The charge specifically cites the Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act of 2022, the very same law that was used to keep Nnamdi Kanu behind bars. This development complicates everything for the government. Remember, Nnamdi Kanu just had a setback in court on January 27th when his motion to be transferred from Sokoto prison was struck out. His lawyer even withdrew from the case. Things were looking bleak. But this Malami arraignment has injected new life into the struggle. It provides a moral victory that is resonating across the international community. How can the world take the Nigerian government's case against Kanu when the man who initiated it is facing trial for aiding terrorists? We also have to look at the timeline. The DSS didn't just wake up yesterday. They arrested Malami in January 19, right in front of Kuje prison. He had just been released on bail for a separate EFCC money laundering case with 8 billion naira. He thought he was going home to enjoy his freedom, but the DSS operatives were waiting at the gate. They picked him up like a common criminal and whisked him away. This shows a level of coordination between the agencies that we rarely see. It suggests that the current administration is done protecting the sacred cows of the past regime. But let's be realistic. This is Nigeria. We have seen high-profile arrests before that end in silence. We have seen media trials that go nowhere. Is this real, or is this a distraction? The fact that they charged him with terrorism financing is the key. That is a non-bailable offense in many circumstances, or at least one with very strict conditions. By pinning this charge on him, the government is signaling that they want him away for a long time. The next date to mark on your calendar is February 20th, 2026. That is when the court will hear the formal bail application. That day will be a showdown. Will Malami walk free, or will he trade his flowing robes for a prison uniform permanently? And will Nnamdi Kanu's legal team use this as fresh evidence to demand his unconditional release? One thing is certain. The good news circulating in the camps of IPOB today is not just about Malami's downfall. It is about the validation of their narrative. For years, they said, "We are not the terrorists." Today, the state seems to be pointing the finger at its own former gatekeeper. As we wait for February 20th, the tension in Abuja is palpable. Every politician who served in the last administration is looking over their shoulder today. If Malami can be touched, nobody is safe. We will keep following this story with the intensity it deserves.